Okay. So, first thing we need to agree on is that it's wrong to steal. Can we all agree on that? That stealing is wrong. All right? Stealing is wrong. We're taught that from a young age. It is wrong to steal. Now, can you think of an exception where sometimes stealing one thing isn't as bad as stealing another? Like, can we get to that? Like, stealing $1 isn't as bad as stealing $100. Can we agree on that? I think that's reasonable. They're still both wrong. Okay? Stealing a pencil is not as bad as stealing a car. They're still both wrong. They're still stealing. Okay? But one is not as bad as the other. Do we agree with that? Do we even have laws that in our country that prove that? Do y'all know the answer? You don't know? The answer is yes. We have laws in our country that prove what I just said. If you steal things that less than $500, it's called a misdemeanor. If it's $500 or more, it's called a felony. So even our laws in our country we agree as a citizenry that some things are worse to steal than others. Okay? Now, can any of you think of a time, this is a real question, where it would be okay to steal? Christelle, did you have your hand up? When you're poor, you should steal.
That's the wrong thing.
Well, that's not bad. I mean, if I had some single mom who didn't get paid for 3 days and she had some little baby who was out of food and she went to the store and stole a couple jars of baby food, I might not like it, but I could understand it. Can we agree on that? Okay. I watched this movie, this outstanding movie. It's on Amazon. I think it's on Amazon Prime. Almost positive it's Prime. It's called The Ride. Y'all should watch it. It's really good. So one part of it, the protagonist, whose name I cannot recall, gets his bike stolen. So he goes and steals the bike back. Is that okay? I think that's okay. I'm not even sure that's called stealing. That might just be called taking back what was already yours. But I remember when I was watching that, I was hoping that he didn't get caught. You know what I mean? Because I felt like what he was doing was right. Someone stole his bike. He went and stole it back. That sounds fair to me. Now, what about this? There's a big hurricane. Hurricane comes, destroys, a whole neighborhood. And in that neighborhood, the power's out. Everything is just haywire crazy, like after Katrina, which I know you guys weren't alive for, but believe me, it was something else. It was a ride. All right. And somebody's got, a newborn baby. And they go into Walmart. Walmart shut down, but they go in and because people literally just busted out the windows to Walmart and the doors. And they go into Walmart and they take diapers and formula for their baby. Would we find that to be acceptable? Yes or no? I think it would be okay. If somebody's house got destroyed and their baby didn't have diapers, therefore they had to go steal diapers, I think that would be okay. What if they went and stole a TV? Will we think that was okay? Probably not. You don't need a TV to survive, but your baby needs diapers and clothes and food. So we have an agreement as a society that sometimes we have to do things. All right. Now, I need to explain to y'all how a court case works. All right? If you're suing someone, all right, you have an attorney, you're called the plaintiff. The person or the company, Cameron, pay attention, that you're suing, they have an attorney. They're called a defendant. Okay? The plaintiff's attorney must prove that the defendant was negligible or wrong in doing something. And he or she, the attorney, must prove it to a jury of 11 people. And all 11 people must agree that the plaintiff was done wrong by the defendant. If you only get 10, you lose. You have to get all 11. It's kind of crazy, huh? It would seem 10 out of 11 or maybe even 8 or 9 out of 11 would be good enough. It has to be 100%, 11 out of 11. A lot of people think that the judge makes the decision, Nope, the judge just makes sure that the lawyers are following the law and make sure that the jurors are paying attention. He or she just makes sure everything goes as it's supposed to go. He or she doesn't decide guilty or not guilty. Okay? So a jury decides, and it must be 100% all 11 of them. Okay? That's how juries work. All right? Now, with that said, I need to explain to y'all this court case that happened in the 1990s. It involved McDonald's. Now, I'm serious. This is not a joke. This is true. This was on the news everywhere. And this is actually before we had the internet. This is in 1992. Internet came around 1994, 1995. So this was before we had the internet. We just had like the evening news and the morning news. But this was discussed everywhere. It was all over America. Everybody was talking about this. I'm not joking. I was 16 when this happened, and everybody was talking about this. Happened in New Mexico. This lady, you listen to what I'm saying. I'm not telling you anything other than what happened. This lady went to McDonald's, bought a cup of coffee, okay? Spilled the coffee on herself, sued McDonald's, and was awarded over $2 million.
What?
I'm not exaggerating. That's what happened. I'm going to tell you again. Because it's very important that you understand what I'm telling you. This lady went to McDonald's, bought a cup of coffee, spilled the coffee on herself. Mr. Richmond, but what if the employee spilled on it? That ain't what happened. Spilled the coffee on herself. Y'all hear me? And sued McDonald's and won over $2 million. You got it?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Now listen to these questions, or look at these questions. On your paper, question 1. Do you agree someone should have been financially compensated, that means paid, for being burned by coffee that she herself spilled? I want you to write number 1 and then put yes or no. Do you agree that someone should have been financially compensated, that means paid, for being burned by coffee that she herself spilled? Yes or no? You must write something. She spilled the coffee. Should McDonald's have had to pay her? That's what I want to know. Number 2. Can you imagine any circumstance, no matter how ridiculous, where such a payment should have been awarded in this case? Can you imagine any circumstance, no matter how ridiculous, where such a payment should have been awarded in this case? Number 3, do you think the jury was wrong? Do you think the jury was wrong? Now let's go over these. Number 1, do you agree that someone should have been paid for being burned for spilling coffee on herself? If you say no, that person should not have been paid, this is bull. You say your answer is no, raise your hand. Let me get a call. Let me get a reading. Jamez, are you going to vote, sir? Okay. Let the record show that 100% of the people in the class say, no, she should not have been paid. Now let's all vote at the same time this time. Number 2, can you imagine any circumstance, no matter how ridiculous, where such a payment should have been awarded? Can anybody imagine that, now I had somebody first period say something, well, what if they put barbecue sauce in their coffee? I mean, that's so stupid. I'm talking about something that's at least feasible. I realize it could be kind of ridiculous, but feasible. They did not put barbecue sauce in their coffee. I would have told you that. So can anybody for real imagine a circumstance where such payment should have been awarded? I had a good one first period. Ty Mowdy said that if the lady bought the coffee, she was in the McDonald's, and there was like a spilled drink, and she slipped in it, and there wasn't a sign, and she spilled the coffee. I could see that. You know what I'm talking? Because then McDonald's has been negligible, and their customer slipped where they should have mopped some water up or whatever, right? Still, I would say over $2 million seems a little ridiculous, but That seems, I can imagine that. Follow what I'm saying? Number 3, do you think the jury was wrong? Let's do a vote on this. If you say yes, the jury was wrong, raise your hand. Let the record show that 100% of the people say the jury was wrong. Okay, put your hands down. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. When I first heard this story, I agreed with every one of you 100% on everything that you just said. But I'm about to show you something that makes it a little different. Let's take a look at this. This is a little story. This is a true story. Okay? I titled it Hot Coffee. What I did is, because I was interested in this story, I searched the internet and got as many facts as I could about it. My dad is a lawyer. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that. My dad's a lawyer, so my dad was actually really familiar with this case. And my dad went to law school at Tulane University in New Orleans, which coincidentally is the same law school that the plaintiff's lawyer went to. So my dad had some pretty privy information about it, and it just got me interested. Are any of you interested in being a lawyer one day? Jeremy is? Okay. It's all about getting evidence. People think it's about arguing. It's about getting evidence. Okay? So let's take a look at this. Everybody have your writing utensil? Everybody has your hot coffee paper, correct? Awesome. So I want you to have your writing utensil out, and anytime you think that there's a piece of evidence that we uncover that proves why the lady won, I want you to circle it. There's a lot of hype about the McDonald's scalding coffee case. No one is in favor of frivolous cases of outlandish results. However, it is important to understand some points that were not reported in most of the stories about the case. McDonald's coffee was not only hot, it was scalding, capable of almost instantaneous destruction of skin, flesh, and muscle. Here is the whole story. Stella Liebeck of Albuquerque, New Mexico, was in the passenger seat of her grandson's car when she was severely burned by McDonald's coffee in February 1992. Liebeck, 79 at the time, ordered coffee that was served in a styrofoam cup at the drive-thru window of a local McDonald's. Now let's stop there. You guys have all been through a drive-thru. I would probably say that you guys, every one of you have been through a McDonald's drive-thru because it's the most common kind. All right? There are more of them than any others. So you know when you go through the drive-thru, you order your stuff, they hand it to you the window. Now you've probably seen your parents order coffee. And I don't mean some mocha crappuccino like you people get. I mean a real cup of coffee. Okay? Maybe even y'all have ordered coffee before. They give it the styrofoam cup, got the plastic lid, they hand it to you, right? Okay. So that's what this lady did. She and her grandson go through, she orders the coffee, they hand it to her. Paragraph 3. After receiving the order, the grandson pulled his car forward and stopped momentarily so that Liebeck could add cream and sugar to her coffee. Now let's stop. She gets the order. The grandson's driving. He then pulls up a little, stops, so that she can put the cream and sugar in her coffee. You know, your parents, they drink coffee, right? They put cream and sugar in it, some of them? Yeah. Now, have y'all ever pulled forward, stopped, and seen them do that? Or maybe pull forward and fix your ketchup or something? Haven't y'all done that before? Same thing. Critics of civil justice who have pounced on this case often charge that Liebeck was driving the car or that the vehicle was in motion when she spilled her coffee. Neither is true. Now, Liebeck placed the cup between her knees and attempted to remove the plastic lid from the cup. As she removed the lid, the entire contents of the cup spilled into her lap. So she's sitting in the car chair. She sticks the coffee between her knees. She's pulling the lid off so she can stir up all the stuff, right? Pulling the lid off. When she does, the coffee spills all into her lap. The sweatpants Liebeck was wearing absorbed the coffee and held it next to her skin. A vascular surgeon determined that Liebeck suffered full-thickness burns, or third-degree burns, to over 6% of her body. She was hospitalized for 8 days, during which she underwent skin grafting. Liebeck also underwent debridement treatments, and she sought to settle her claim. It says for $20,000. That is a typo. Fix it. For $200,000. Just add another zero. She sought to settle her claim for $200,000, but McDonald's refused. So she had to go to the hospital. She stayed there 8 days. She had a $200,000 hospital bill. That's real, okay? And she said, McDonald's, will you just pay me the money so I can pay my bill? And they said no. During discovery, McDonald's produced documents showing more than 700 claims by people burned by its coffee between 1982 and 1992. Some claims involved third-degree burns substantially similar to Liebeck's. This history documented Liebeck's knowledge about the extent and nature of this hazard. McDonald's also said during discovery that, based on a consultant's advice, it held its coffee, get this, it held its coffee between 180 and 190 degrees Fahrenheit to maintain optimum taste. He admitted that he had not evaluated the safety ramifications at this temperature. Other establishments sell coffee at substantially lower temperatures, and coffee served at home is generally 135 to 140 degrees. That's a huge disparity in temperature, isn't it? Your parents, if they make it home in their coffee maker, 135, 140 degrees. Stuff you buy at McDonald's, 180 to 190 degrees. 40 degrees hotter is a lot hotter. Think about when you go outside. Around here, it'll get 100 degrees in the summer, right? And we're also used to being 60 degrees, right? It's about what it is today. There's a big difference, isn't it? Add another 100 degrees to that. Okay? And imagine spilling it on your skin. Is it coming clear why she won the lawsuit? Let's keep going. Further, McDonald's quality assurance manager testified that the company actively enforces a requirement that coffee be held in the pot at 185 degrees, plus or minus 5. He also testified that a burn hazard exists with any food substance served at 140 degrees or above, and the McDonald's coffee, at the temperature at which it was poured into styrofoam cups, was not fit for consumption because it would burn the mouth and throat. The quality assurance manager admitted that burns would occur, but testified that McDonald's had no intention of reducing the holding temperature of its coffee. Plaintiff's expert, a scholar in thermodynamics applied to human skin burns, testified that liquids at 180 degrees will cause a full thickness burn to human skin in 2 to 7 seconds. Other testimonies showed that as the temperature decreases toward 155 degrees, the extent of the burn relative to that temperature decreases exponentially. Thus, if Liebeck's spill had involved coffee at 155, the liquid would have cooled and given her time to avoid a serious burn. McDonald's asserted that customers buy coffee on their way to work at home, intending to consume it there. Get this. McDonald's asserted that customers buy coffee on their way to work or home, intending to consume it there. Let's stop. Do y'all's parents drink coffee in the car? Raise your hand if your parents drink coffee in the car. There are about 90% of the students raising their hands right now. Put your hands down. I mean, when y'all go through McDonald's, you don't wait till you get home and eat it. Don't you eat it right there? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, we drink the coffee and drink our Cokes and eat our fries right there in our car. If we wanted to sit down and eat it, we'd have gone inside and eaten it. You know what I'm saying? Or drank it or whatever. So McDonald's knew they were lying about that. By the way, is it becoming clear why the old lady won? Let's keep going. McDonald's also argued that customers know coffee is hot and that its customers want it that way. Now, that's actually true. Now, there used to be a time where they didn't have cold coffees and frozen coffees, and in 1992, there was that time. We didn't have cold coffees and frozen coffee. You either got hot coffee or you got no coffee, and there was nothing in between. Am I telling the truth?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's true. McDonald's said that, hey, our customers know coffee's hot. That's true. You know what I mean? Did they think it was like liquid fire that they're pouring on themselves? No. The company admitted that its customers were unaware that they could suffer third-degree burns from the coffee, that a statement on the side of the cup was not a warning, but a reminder, since the location of the writing would not warn customers of the hazard. The jury awarded Liebeck $200,000 in compensatory damages. This amount was reduced to $160,000 because the jury found Liebeck 20% at fault in the spill. The jury also awarded Liebeck $2.7 million in punitive damage, which equals about 2 days of McDonald's coffee sales. Now let's get there. It says the jury awarded Liebeck $200,000 in compensatory damage, but the amount was reduced to $160,000 because Liebeck was 20% at fault because she spilled it. Do y'all agree with that? She did spill it. The McDonald's employee didn't spill it. You know what I'm saying? So they said, you know what? You're kind of responsible. You're 20% responsible. All right? But then they gave her $2.7 million in punitive damages, which equals to 2 days of McDonald's coffee sales. What are punitive damages? Can somebody tell me? What's the word punitive look similar to? What?
Purposely.
Purposely. That's a good guess. It's not right, but it's a good guess. That's really close, actually. Punitive. Look at the first four letters. P-U-N-I. It's what your parents do to you if you don't mind them. Punish. It's punishment. McDonald's said, you know what? The jury said this happened 700 times, and you kept selling these people this seriously scorching hot coffee? How about this? $2.7 million in punishment. Now have you learned your lesson? I would learn my lesson. Wouldn't you learn your lesson? Let's read the last paragraph. Post-verdict investigation found that the temperature of coffee at the local Albuquerque McDonald's had dropped to 158 degrees Fahrenheit. The trial court subsequently reduced the punitive award to $480,000 or 3 times compensatory damages, even though the judge called McDonald's conduct reckless, callous, and willful. Now let's stop. That's the end of our article. Now do you understand why the old lady won? Let's talk about some evidence. What is one piece of evidence that proves that you understand why the jury awarded the lady a verdict? You, Miley.
Suffered both thickness burns or third-degree burns to over 6% of her body.
6% of her body. That might not sound a lot. I'm going to tell you what. You set 6% of your body on fire, you're in pain. You know what I'm saying? Think about what it feels like to burn your finger. You know what I mean? Now imagine burning, let's say, the area from your elbow to the bottom of your hand. That's probably about 6% of your body. That would hurt. You know what I'm saying? So, percentage-wise. By the way, it wasn't that. Unfortunately, it was her crotch, which seems, okay? Would not want to set my crotch on fire or any part of my body, but especially that. Now, what's another reason that she won? Abby girl?
Was not fit for consumption because it would burn the mouth and throat.
The coffee itself was not fit for consumption. It'd burn your mouth and throat. Y'all have eaten things too hot before. Haven't y'all eaten pizza that's too hot sometime in your life? I hate when the pizza's too hot. I don't like being burned. All right?
I like pizza very hot.
Not me.
Not hot enough to burn your mouth.
Huh. All right. Aniston.
Hospitalized for 8 days, during which time she underwent skin grafting.
Yeah. She was in the hospital for 8 days here. We ain't talking about a sunburn where you rub some cream on it and deal with it. You know what I'm saying? This lady's in the hospital for 8 days. This is a serious burn. Brianna.
The company admitted to its customers were unaware that it could suffer third-degree burns from the coffee, that a statement on the side of the cup was not a warning but a reminder, since the location of the writing could not warn customers of the hazard.
That's exactly right. The company said, hey, the coffee's hot. They had a little warning, but it did not say the coffee is scalding hot. You know what I mean? Somebody tells me, hey, this coffee is scalding hot, and if you spill it on yourself, you're probably going to end up in the hospital. I ain't buying that coffee. I'll go down the street and buy the coffee somewhere else.
And didn't you say it was located where the customers really couldn't see it as well?
I've been trying to wonder I wonder if they put it on the bottom of the cup or something.
Could be.
Who's
going to do this?
Yeah.
And then they're going to burn the face.
But say then, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Another piece of evidence that proves why Miss Liebeck won. Another piece of evidence. What about the fact that there were 700 of them? Think about it. Your parents tell you something once, they're going to forgive you because it's once. You didn't know, right? They tell you something twice, maybe, depending on how patient they are, right? They tell you 3 times or 4 times, they're going to start getting tired of it, aren't they? Okay? That's right. So 700 times this happened. If your parents told you something 700 times, I doubt they've ever told you anything 700 times because they would have lost their patience way before 700. Okay? I know I would have. get about one time or maybe no times with me. It seemed like, the fact that it was so much hotter than normal coffee. 135 to 140 degrees at home, 180 to 190 in the store. That's crazy. That's just crazy. And there is another reason. Like I said, my dad went to the same law school as this guy. So my dad was privy to some of the information that I wasn't privy to. And I wanted to limit the article to one page. So therefore I didn't put this. So I'm going to give you another little example of why McDonald's lost and Miss Liebeck won. Now you go to McDonald's and you get free refills on Cokes, coffee. You can't on like a mochaccino or whatever, but on a regular Coke or Diet Coke or regular cup, you get a free refill, right? Pretty much unlimited. Go to the dude. Shh. We used to not do that. That is new. In 1992, there was no such thing as free refills. Well, McDonald's started giving free refills on their coffee only. So if you went to McDonald's and you bought a breakfast, okay, you say you bought a biscuit and a hash brown and a cup of coffee, and you go sit and eat it, you drink your coffee, they would give you a free refill on the coffee if you were sitting there, okay? What they did is they made their coffee so hot that people wouldn't be able to finish their coffee and therefore wouldn't ask for their free refill. Understand?
Wow.
Even more of a reason why they did not win. Do y'all understand now? Okay. So now that you see why the lady won, does it make sense? What appeared so completely ridiculous 30 minutes ago is now reasonable. Now I want y'all to know, back when we watched this, when this was on, everybody in America talked about this. Okay? It's like this big thing that we could not believe this lady had sued. And then she got $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. She spilled it on herself. Then you look at it, you're like, oh, well, no wonder. They sold her, liquid fire. She wasn't expecting to buy liquid fire, So that's why she won. Now, the reason I wanted to do this article is because a lot of times in life, we hear things that are completely ridiculous, right? And you think to yourself, man, that doesn't even make any sense. I can't believe he did that. Or I can't believe that happened to her. That's so stupid. The reason it sounds so ridiculous is because someone is not telling you something. You know what I'm saying? Just like at the beginning, I did not tell you. And just like 30 years ago when we first heard about this, they did not tell us, oh, well, the coffee was 50 degrees higher than normal coffee. The damages at the hospital were $200,000. They didn't tell us that. So anytime you hear something completely ridiculous, you need to dig deeper. You need to look for evidence because someone is leaving something out. Questions about this? Did you find it interesting? Mm-hmm. It is interesting. Now, I need to give you your homework. This is your homework.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jeremy. You have all been accused of something that you didn't do, correct? Mm-hmm. Raise your hand if you have been accused of something that you did not do. Cameron, you've never been accused of anything you didn't do? Cameron's just thinking of the next time she gets asked to go to the bathroom. Not today, Cameron. Put your hands down. Tomorrow, you're going to write an essay about a time where you were accused of doing something that you did not do. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So what you better do tonight is you better go home and think about it.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
We can start writing on it.
You can. If you want to write down some notes, that's cool, but I wouldn't write the essay yet. But if you want to write down some notes, that wouldn't be a bad idea. We good?
Yes, sir.
All right.